this year. App count was flat. From a vendor perspective, that's pretty scary. This is one of my favorite reports in the industry. And the first pass through, I look at it from the software vendor side as opposed to the users and enterprise organizations this year. App count was flat, and that's consistent with what we've seen the past few years in both your reports and the industry. And from a vendor perspective, that's pretty scary because it means to be a new logo and penetrate a new business. Effectively, another app somewhere else in the portfolio or your direct competitor needs to be removed. So that's a higher bar than we've seen in the past. Interesting though, the 8% overall spend growth. So app count is flat, but revenue growth and spend growth is 8%. And clearly AI usage, elements of pricing, and then consumption-based pricing driving it. So that 8% is an interesting stat, and it reflects the software industry is maturing, but I would also say it reflects the Zylo customer base having more progressive and advanced IT asset management and controlling their spend better than what you'll see in terms of the overall industry revenue and spend growth. One of the areas that jumped out in particular in the report was not just the 108% growth in AI spend, but the 400% growth amongst large enterprises. And I would say that 108% is consistent with general business growth that we're seeing through RAMP. The US Census Bureau, interestingly, tracks this as well. But the 400%, and that is truly a seismic shift, right? When you look at questions about is AI a bubble or not, right? That degree of a vertical ramp of usage into large enterprises is incredibly meaningful. And I think that's one of the advantages of your report as well, is you cover true enterprise plus as a result of your customer base. And that can be pretty unique signal to observers, analysts on a certain pocket of IT spend that most things do not cover nearly as well as you do. Relative to our work with a range of both software vendors and end users of software through our true ROI practice, where we validate and assess the ROI of software. And inherently, that looks at lots of levers around yield or cost reductions or various drivers. And the fact that your customer base had a 5.3% reduction in waste year over year, and of course, many of these customers have been with you from some time, that's an incredibly powerful lever. Like we've seen with how things work, what that 5.3% translates into an ROI, and relative to lots of other initiatives companies can be pursuing in other lines of business, other departments, tying together the flat app count, which inherently new apps are coming in, so there are logos and vendors being removed. And I believe that relates into, that customers who work with Zylo for renewals and negotiations tend to see a 17% reduction in price points. And that's very, very meaningful, right? And it fits together, right? Where the IT estate is not growing, these vendors who work with you have leverage and they're able to achieve really meaningful savings at renewal. And that has lots of read-throughs on the software vendor side, software investor side, that instead of seeing 110%, 115% NRR, you're seeing 83%, at least with the sophisticated companies that are managing their IT spend well.